Hi, I'm Parker Dahl,
And I'm Warren Eichhoff,
and welcome to So What?
a place where we ask the question that is on the mind of many of our students: so what?
Why do I need to know about the way people think? My ideology is already the best one.
I didn't realize you study ideologies. Which one have you determined to be the most sufficient?
It's called Dahlism. The way it works is I think about a situation and what I would do. If I would do it, then that action is good. If I would not do it, then that action is bad.
So, in this ideology, you determine what is right and wrong.
Basically, yes, I trust me.
Well, at least that makes one of us. The following are but some of the answers to these questions, and as always, you should do your own research.
Today, we will talk about the age of ideologies.
Specifically, how these ideologies will influence society.
The first thing we need to acknowledge is that Europe was going through a lot of social, political, and intellectual changes.
The Enlightenment, the French Revolution, American Revolution, and the Industrial Revolution all happened in a relatively similar time frame.
With all of these things happening, life started to change for the common people. Rural life became really hard to sustain, and people started looking for work in manufacturing hubs known as cities.
This saw a rise in capitalism, as there were more workers that could be employed at cheaper rates. The result was a growing poor class and a growing wealth for the rich.
While there are stories of people that were able to rise from rags to riches, that was not the case for the vast majority of people. In fact, it was almost certain that if you were born poor, you would die that way.
The outlook on life was bleak. Thomas Malthus predicted the population would outpace the food supply. He said the only checks on population were the natural methods of war, disease, and famine.
Malthus argued against charities and vaccinations because he wanted nature to take its course. Basically, he wanted poor people to die so that population didn't rise.
He would eventually be proven wrong. As we have since learned, when people have stability of income, health, and education, they will naturally have fewer children. This has been the case in almost every developed nation.
Oh my gosh, so what?
Why Lego Batman? Are we doing budget cuts again?
Who cares about this stuff? I don't care about who is rich or how much the poor suffer. The only thing I care about is justice.
It's pretty obvious when you look at the ways in which people were subjected.
Okay, how about a different tact? Let's go back and see how people were feeling about this economic system. Let's visit our miners in England in 1810. Hello, random English mining individual.
Okay. We can't keep living like this. We need to organize, take control of this mine. Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I've been talking with the boys, and they're with me. The boss may resist and send troops after us, but we're all dying here on just begging for scraps while he lives the high life, takes all the profits. Are you with me? Yeah.
This is so depressing. Have these people ever tried, not being poor? Please ignore the pointy-eared, ignorant individual. Question though, are you revolting?
Wait, what? No, we're all setting up a union to protect our rights.
Well, what's the problem with how it is now?
We have no rights.
What will you do if the boss doesn't agree and tries to break up the union with force?
Revolution!
Revolution.
Seems like a situation that some people may want to pay attention to. Bye now. As you can see, the workers were receiving some benefit, but they were also living incredibly hard lives and receiving a lot of strife. They were on the cusp of revolution.
I know we focus on it quite a bit in France, but revolutions are not all about politics. There are also economic revolutions.
Adam Smith will publish his book, The Wealth of Nations, in 1776.
Ooh, you picked a good one.
No, it had nothing to do with the Declaration of Independence, which was signed the same year and officially started the American Revolution. Adam Smith's book was about a new economic system free of government interference. We refer to this today as capitalism.
Smith noted that people would act out of their own self-interest to retain as much money as possible. The classic way to describe the economy is to imagine you need bread. There are two bakeries. They both serve the same product at the same quality. So how do you choose?
The answer is simple. You choose the cheaper one. But that competing bakery, we'll call them bakery number 2. They really want your business. So they lower their prices below the other one.
In response, bakery number 1 offers more bread for the same price.
Yeah, well, bakery number 2 offers fancy bread, like Danish is.
Okay, Bakery 1 puts up decorations to be more appealing.
Bakery number 2 creates a mascot of a moose baking bread. His name is Pumpernickel.
That is the most Alaskan response ever. But I definitely go there.
The bakeries compete because they are selfish. They want your money.
And you are self-interested as well. You want to get the best deal possible.
This economic revolution will only work if the government enacts a laissez-faire form of economics, meaning they are hands-off.
This means no protective tariffs, state-sponsored monopolies, or protected production chains.
This is the system of economics that ultimately replaces mercantilism in England at the beginning of that Industrial Revolution.
The rise of economies during the Industrial Revolution is evidence that this is the best system with no downsides. Everyone agrees. Wait, it isn't the best?
I'm not saying that, but it is important to note that this system does have downsides. For when you make decisions on a purely capitalistic framework, you're willing to profit off of the suffering of others. This was certainly the case in industrial England, where so many people were struggling to survive, while very few lived in opulence. In a lot of ways, this isn't much different than the system that came before with feudalism, where a king benefited from peasants toiling in the fields.
There will be movements to force the owners of factories to implement safety regulations, child labor laws, 10-hour workdays, and living wages. People will form some of the first unions, but most of these are unsuccessful as the business owners are supported by the government and work together to suppress these union workers, sometimes with violence.
This new economic reality will spark another economic revolution, socialism. While capitalism focuses on individuals, socialism will focus on the society. The goal was to end poverty and injustice by having society operate the means of production.
The people would be the ones to operate and benefit from the farms, factories, railways, and other large businesses. This was based on Enlightenment principles of progress and of human nature.
In 1848, Karl Marx published the Communist Manifesto, which argued for scientific socialism. In this, he predicted that a violent struggle would happen between the classes where the proletariat would rise and overthrow the bourgeoisie. Marx despised capitalism, for he argued that it created prosperity for few and poverty for many. In fact, he called for international struggle against capitalism to create a classless society.
In practice, communism came to be defined as a government led by a small elite that controlled all economic and political life. An example of this is the Soviet Union.
These economic systems have benefits and they have flaws. Both are idealistic and both have been destroyed by corruption.
In practice, governments like the US use a combination of economic methods. There is tendency to favor business to benefit the national economy, but this is far from laissez-faire considering the number of subsidies being issued to companies.
There are also efforts to help society as a whole, with the development of things like workers' rights, minimum wage, and anti-monopoly laws. But there's also still a large dependence on charitable giving from large businesses.
There are many different types of economies, and the debate continues as to what is the best system.
The point of an ideology is for you to answer a basic question first. What is the purpose of an action?
Should the purpose be to make money and hope that meets the needs of the people?
Or should the purpose be to meet the needs of the people and hope you make money?
This is the debate that your generation must grapple with. And remember, do your own research.
Arguments shouldn't be based on catchy slogans, but instead based in facts. Have a great day. I didn't realize that economics impacted people's lives so much. Whenever I get hungry, I just tell Alfred to get me some more bat cookies. I've been so focused on punching bad guys that I haven't looked at the bigger problems. It's time for me to punch corruption in the face.
You know what? That guy keeps popping in. He asks the worst questions. Have you ever noticed that he never offers help? He's the worst. Agreed.
Agreed. Thanks for watching.
See you next week. Bye-bye.